Hello, everyone. How are you? We are back. It's the Death Chicks. And yes, we've had a little bit of, just to make us feel like we're back on the air again, we've had a little bit of crazy tech issues. I'm Patty Burgess with Death Chicks, and you're going to hear this disembodied voice from behind at some point, and that is Misty. She's with us in voice. For whatever reason, we've got a great little picture of her and I there at the bottom, but we just have her by voice today. So we don't know what's happening, but it's all okay because the Death Chicks, we're back and we are starting our grief series. And to kick that off, I'm so excited to share with you a little bit about our guest. What I also wanted to share with you is that for this grief series, we are going to be broadcasting every 2 weeks through to the end of the year, and you'll be able to see our guests when we post that on our Facebook page. And we'll tell you about any other upcoming announcements and that kind of thing. But today we have Wendy Vanderpool with us, and I'm so excited, Wendy. Thanks so much for being here and hanging in there with the, I can't even call it Google Gremlins anymore because Google has moved over to YouTube, but we're here.
And it's great. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thanks so much for hanging in there. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So let me share with you all a little bit about Wendy because I think this is so important. There's lots of people that are not even really talking about this piece for grief. And I know personally because it's hit my family in terms of grief when it comes to pet loss. And that's what we're going to be talking with Wendy today about. So let me share with you. Wendy Vanderpool, sorry, I put an R there where it shouldn't be.
Most people do.
Yes. But you'll answer to us still, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay, good. So Wendy is an expert and pioneering leader in the field of pet loss and grief support, and she's the founder of the Center for Pet Loss and Grief. She is the author of the 4-time best-selling Pet Bereavement series on Amazon, and she's currently writing her 5th book, which is going to be launching on November 6, 2016. What she does is provide wisdom, joy, and compassion for pet grief relief in her practice. And I know that's so important, especially as I mentioned, as it has hit a member of my family. So Wendy's a certified end-of-life and grief coach, pet funeral celebrant. Also, she is a licensed massage therapist, and she does this for humans, for horses, and for hounds, and she's a tested animal communicator and a medium. I think this is so fascinating because, you know, we're now just opening up the world to mediums for humans. Not that they haven't existed for eons, but it's becoming a little bit more mainstream.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I'm curious too, Wendy, we're going to talk about, like, you know, for some reason people are even being able to accept this for humans, but when it comes to pets, I'm sure you get a lot of like raised eyebrows. So we're going to talk about that. She's a speaker, and she speaks on this topic as well as all the others and all of her other professional relationships. She has appeared on radio, podcasts, and TV. She's got a master's of science in wolf ecology, and I want to, you know, I read that book a long time ago, Running with a Wolf, so I want to hear about how you ran with the wolves in Minnesota, the coyotes in Massachusetts, and the foxes in your backyard. She lives in the Northeast with her husband, Rick, her rescue dog, a crazy cockatiel named Kava, and a parakeet. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Patty and Misty. I'm so happy to be here. It's great. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, good. Well, you've got a lot to share with us. And, you know, I know that I have this definite connection with my animals. And I also know that I have, it's not more of one, it's not a better one, but it's a different connection with one of my cats than I do with the others. Matter of fact, I'm just kind of chopped liver for one of my cats. Until my husband's not gone, and then I'm not so much chopped anymore.
Right.
I'm like the best available thing. So, and I find this so fascinating. I believe I have this communication, and I believe that other people can have this too, but whether they believe it exists.
Right.
But this had to start somewhere for you. So where did this start? Tell us all about that.
Okay, well, it started with when I was a child, and I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in the suburbs of New Jersey, but I had the luxury of having woods behind my house. So where did I go as a child? I went to behind my house. I had a little fort, and the wild animals would come in, the squirrels, the birds, chipmunks. And I thought it was perfectly normal to talk to them and for them to have conversations with me. And, and I was also like the neighborhood dog walker. So at 6 years old, my mother used to go, crazy because 7:30 in the morning, I'm out there and I'm knocking on the door saying, can I take your dog Mikey for a walk?
These were your friends, right?
These were my friends. And it was just so normal for me to hear that, like if I'd be playing with them and that I would hear or feel the urge to stop what I was doing and look up in the tree, and there might have been a raven sitting up there or a crow sitting in the tree, and hearing the chatter and watching the behavior between two animals. So it wasn't until I became a teenager, I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't know I was weird until I was a teenager. I became very weird. And
we all get weird when we're teenagers.
We all get weird.
You know what? So do our parents too. They are even weirder.
They get even weirder. But nobody was shutting this down because both my mother and my grandmother are psychics. They're not practicing psychics, but they're very psychic. And it was behind the closed doors, so to speak, in our home.
Right.
So I was never shut down, but I was never really encouraged. It was just let her be the way she is. So I did shut it down when I was a teenager. And then when I was actually running with the wolves in Minnesota, that's when it started to come back really, really strong, because I was handling wild wolves. I was handling captive wolves. And I would be sometimes, not often, but sometimes I would be alone with a wolf, and I would get spiritual messages from them. And I listened about that much because I was so in the science brain.
Yeah, yeah.
So I only listened, I didn't discount it, but I only listened to it that much. When I became a massage therapist, it was especially for horses, in this particular situation, I had a horse that, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous horse, beautiful in dressage. And the people that owned him actually wanted him to be a fox hunter. He had no desire to be a fox hunter. And when they took him to these events, he'd stand there and plant himself. And when the fox horn went off, he ran. So they were conditioning him to the horn. And I'm giving him a massage, and he goes, would they shut that stupid thing off? Please save me. It is driving me crazy.
Wow.
And so I told her, and I didn't say I was, this is because I'm still kind of like, not sure.
Yeah, and by the way, your horse just told me.
Yeah, right. So I just said to her very, very professionally, have you considered not trying to condition him in that way, and maybe let him go back to dressage and find a horse that is more suited for your needs? So she did. She listened to me, and I hear from his new owner a lot in California, and he's doing extremely well. She sent me videos of him in the dressage ring, and he's gorgeous, and he's loving it. He just, he's a showman, and that's his passion.
Wow.
So, I have little episodes here and there, and that would take a whole hour. So I don't want to.
Sure. Well, obviously at some point this kind of coalesced into a place where you felt that you could bring this out to the world, because I know I've had some experiences 30 years ago that I down that, and I believe it's like the soul's calling, like, shut it down. You can shut it down as much as you want, but somehow it's going to keep tugging on you.
Definitely.
30 years later, it's come back and said, okay, so now I'm immersed in reading and learning and understanding. It's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
It's just is. And if we listen.
Is.
So when did this coalesce, and how did you know, wow, I'm supposed to go do this?
Yeah, I knew it when my dog Marley
Marley. That's right.
Yeah, she's here. She's right here. I don't know if you can see it, everybody. She's right there. And
is she a Samoyed?
She's a Samoyed. Yeah,
Okay.
she was my heart dog. She came to me.
Aw.
We had a heart melt, totally connected. And I got myself in a little bit of a wonky, crazy situation with a former ballroom teacher of mine. And it was not good. And that is when she helped me with her body language and her messages, because by then I was really starting to listen to my intuition. And not only from Marley, but from the wild animals. I have a very strong connection with I have an interaction almost every single day with a wild animal. And wow. It's awesome.
Wow.
And she's the one that gave me that look. She just looked me in the eyes piercingly. I heard and felt her voice say, "Get out of this situation now, because it's going to get really ugly." And that's when I did. And that's when I said, this is what I need to do in my life. I'm a retired massage therapist.
Okay.
I have a few animal clients still that I do love to see. But that is when I took on the role of being an animal communicator and an animal medium, and grew my business from there. But through the massage practice, that's how I, also got into it, because I'm handling animals and I'm seeing I'm feeling their medical issues. And it was through that, then I realized, I really got to do something with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Misty, I heard you try to speak. I don't want to at all ignore you. It's just that since we can't see you, you may have some questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello to everyone, and I'm sorry my video isn't working. And it's really nice to have Wendy here. And Wendy, your backstory is so amazing. It speaks loudly to me. And if I had a pet, and I just sense you have followed your heart, and you're in the vacation that you were called to.
Yes.
And that's really when we can do our best work on this earth. So thank you so much for listening to that call.
Thank you.
When I was just posting around social media, there was a few things that viewers might want to know, and just around the loss of a pet,
yes.
and also about terminal illness and pets. So what can people do when they get news that their pet has a terminal illness?
Every time that question gets asked to me, I get goosebumps, because it is such a charged question. And that's why I titled my books the way I did. The first one is, My Dog Is Dying, What Do I Do? It's when you're in the veterinarian's office and that vet says to you, your dog has cancer, or your dog has this, or your dog, we can't do anything to save it, and it's going to die. What the heck are you going to do? Right? I'm a very big proponent of, even when our animals are in their prime and we're having a ton of fun with them and all of that, this is the time when I say, think ahead, plan ahead. Yeah. Be prepared, because it's going to happen. Know what normal grief is. Know what you can expect. Learn about the myths surrounding grief, especially pet loss. I mean, there's a whole line of crazy myths with pet loss.
There are some of those, Wendy.
Okay. Top of my head. I'd say one of the most powerful ones, and can be one of the most devastating ones, is that you're not allowed to grieve an animal, a pet, when there's so much human suffering in the world.
And I would bet that there's a lot of people that take on that guilt on top of their
yes.
own grief.
Yes.
Along with the fact that the person who's grieving, their life has to keep going.
Yes.
And yet they can feel incredibly stuck and overwhelmed.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, it's interesting because here at the Death Chicks, one of the things we talk about is planning for, and
Yes.
also making death light or not making light of
Yes.
death.
Yes.
And I think the way that I personally cope is that I do feel that there's a connection. There's a lot of ways I cope, but there's a lot, to me, it feels like it's just the other side of the veil. And so it's honing that sense or that resource, even if I think I'm just making it up.
Right.
And it feels better. So
it does.
What do you do, or what do you say to somebody who's dealing with the impending loss or the loss of a pet? They're having to deal with their life, and maybe they're getting a little bit of pressure, maybe even unsaid, but kind of like, you're still grieving? This is just an animal?
Right.
What can you help people with there?
Well, I let my client, because I'm not a therapist, I let people talk. I hear them. I'm a great listener, and I let them talk it out, and I encourage them, and I look for little nuggets, little beautiful things that are coming from their heart, and inspire them with those little nuggets to keep those in their heart and keep that moving. With that type of myth, I think it's really important when we're in our grief and we're dealing with people saying some silly things to us. I mean, we all do it. We say, you can get another dog, or you can get another cat. There's so many things. And here you are grieving, crying, and all you want is to have somebody listen to you.
Right.
Give you that space. I encourage my clients and my readers in my books to, you don't have to take care of other people.
Wow. There's a concept.
You can just smile, or not even take a breath and just say, thank you. But you know what? I have to go right now. Or if you're in a situation, say you're having a lunch with somebody and you can't leave, but you can go to the bathroom. The bathroom is a really great place.
Yeah. Thank goodness for women's stalls, right?
Right? I think Misty wants to say something.
Well, I mean, you would think grief and bathroom, how does it connect? But you'd be surprised how many women I give the same advice to. That time when the emotions, the big feelings are just taking over, just excuse yourself and go to the bathroom and breathe. And, if it's safe, allow yourself to just, whatever's coming, allow it to come. And honor that depth of feeling, because there's not very many things outside of the death of a loved one that can bring us to the depth of feeling that we encounter when that happens. And personally, I think it's a bittersweet moment. And I think to touch on the depth of humanity is something we should be honoring and less afraid of.
I agree. I have this little hashtag that I use a lot, is death gives life. And but we did a memorial for Marley on the 22nd. It was 2 years, September 22nd. And we made a beautiful little birch bark raft and put some of her ashes on the raft and lit a candle. And it was that bittersweet moment, but it was, the sadness was there. I still grieve her. Grief never goes away. It just changes. But as I was watching the birch bark raft float into the lake, into the sunset, I had this overwhelming connection with her and this overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude that she taught me how to choose happiness in my life. So in a sad moment, I was also feeling joy. And
it's interesting you say that, because with my particular family member, one of the things as recently as last night that I got from her was that I can't find my happy anymore.
Yes.
And sadly, you know, as it always comes, death is not, it's not convenient.
No.
She had just been going through a very long schooling situation, graduating, buying a new house, lots of things happening, and was really looking forward to getting some semblance of normal back. And you know, I know sometimes I'll say that to her too, like, what's normal? Because you know, every time we think we're going to normal, something else pops up as the new normal.
Right.
And so, you know, I think so many of us want to support and want to help, and I certainly want to help and support her. And it's been several months, I think about 4 or more now, and she is, you know, managing, coping, doing that every day, but can't seem to get the happy back. You mentioned you got this overwhelming experience of happiness from Marley. Was this partly, you believe, by doing this ritual of putting her ashes and taking care, like ritualizing? Is that part of it, or
that's part of it? Yeah, because grief is so internal.
Yes.
And the more we can mourn, grief and mourning, as you know, are different. You know, grief is the internal, mourning is the external, the expression. I really encourage people to be outward, be outgoing, do whatever, create things that celebrate your pet. And that will help you because it keeps the energy moving. And that's what your pet really wants to have happen. They don't want you to be stuck. That's not what they're about, right? All animals live in the moment, except for us.
Yeah, I know. It's either
my dog.
I'm sorry, what was that, Miss?
Oh, I was going to say my dog is such a brilliant little reminder of that. He just brings me back every time I need it. And it's almost like he tuned in to when I need it. And he's just like, hey, buddy, come on. Like, here, it's right here now. It's okay. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you're such a, so dead on. Yeah. You said, just pets and funerals and celebration. And I know within your scope of work, you're a pet funeral celebrant, and some people might not know what that is. And I think you've alluded to that a little bit, and it may be connected to the mourning side, the external. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I got into being a pet funeral celebrant through my massage practice because I was getting dogs and horses that were at the end of their life. For people that wanted to do something special for their animal. So I was with these, and these dogs and horses and cats, a bird, a tortoise, for sometimes 3 months while in hospice, in pet hospice. And I'd be at euthanasias, and then, it's kind of, this is how you're doing the right thing. And then my clients would start saying to me, could you design me a pet funeral? Could you design a funeral for, my dog? And I said, sure, let's do it. And so that's what I did. And what I actually do, I am a certified pet funeral celebrant. I studied with a priest you can't find pet funeral celebrants other than Australia, okay? If you live in Australia, you can get training in this. If you're in the US, you have to go to Australia to get the training because a funeral celebrant is very well known there. So this priest in Maine, I apprenticed with him, and we worked out a program for me to become a pet funeral celebrant in the US. And we both now have a course that we've developed that will certify people into becoming pet funeral celebrants. So basically what I do is I coach people and I help them feel comfortable with their grief and their mourning. And we talk about their pet and how they want to show appreciation for their pet. I write eulogies. I encourage people to write eulogies, whatever they want. And we actually hold funeral services or a memorial service, whatever that person wants. And they're very beautiful and very creative. And I've even worked with some children on that, on creating you know, in writing their eulogy for their pet.
Tell us about, you said when they're very creative, obviously different than
yes.
human.
Yeah. I mean, some people, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. Some people they're very similar. They, you know, let me back up a little bit. I'm thinking faster than I can talk. So you can have different types. You can have them like a pet funeral in your backyard. You can have a pet funeral at a pet cemetery. You can have if you have a cremation, you can go onto a lake or a mountaintop. So they're very similar. There's not much difference. People bring food. They have a celebration afterwards with family members or you know, pet sitters and veterinarians. Everybody comes. It's very personal. So it depends on the individual personality of the pet as well as the relationship that person had with the pet. Makes
sense. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So Wendy, tell us a little bit about the communication part. It fascinates me. It's funny when you guys were talking about your dogs. I think communication with cats is a lot different. And one of the reasons I'm so drawn, I mean, I love every kind of animal there is, but one of the reasons I'm so drawn with cats is because they totally mirror me sometimes. Sometimes I feel like a little biatch, and so there they are. And you know, and then sometimes they are all love, love, love. And I love that, you know, with dogs for me, and of course I've had mostly labs, which are 100% of the time high-end love energy. So I think, you know, well, where's like the bad day? My cats have them. So I feel like I'm getting communication, but it still seems very much on this plane. There are certain other times, sort of like when you mentioned that piercing look. I get a piercing look sometimes that it kind of opens. I can feel it viscerally in my heart and my gut.
Oh yeah.
So if you tell us a little bit about how this communication comes to you, how you connect as a medium for other people, and you know, how you see those images, pictures, words, those feelings, whatever it is, and it fascinates me because I think if people want to learn this, I do believe they can. It takes time.
It does. Being an animal communicator or animal medium is like being an athlete. If you don't practice, it gets flabby.
Okay. I understand flabby.
We all understand flabby. So the more you practice it, the better you get, the sharper you get.
Okay.
We all have that ability. I'm not special but I am a professional because I choose to be. So I'm not special. We're all intuitive. Every single animal, whether it's an ant, a wasp, or whatever, has a message for us. I train my students to learn how to find their balance first, to manage their energy, because animals will not talk to us if we're all crazy. They will shut down. Because it's hard. It's hard. They're trying to get through to us, and if we're not there, they're going to say, "Okay, next time you get into that crazy situation, then maybe you'll listen." Okay. So it's basic. I connect in with energy. I connect in with my spirit team. I connect in with my animal communication team, and we all work together. When I bring in the energy, that's basically what I'm working with, is with energy. When I bring in the energy of the animal, it's all on the animal's terms. I do not push. It's totally respectful. It's not about me. Okay? The first steps are usually physical. So Patty, what you're experiencing are more the physical things. If you practiced, you would get more of the soul stuff. You would start to see. Cats are extremely intuitive.
I do.
Extremely intuitive. There's not any. The way I connect with wild animals, the way I connect with dogs, horses, cats, snakes, birds, lizards, is not any different. The mechanics of it is the same. It's how you listen.
Okay. Good point. How you listen, and
how you listen, and how you manage your energy.
And if we're holding on so tightly maybe to the grief? Is it harder sometimes for those messages to get through?
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where an animal medium helps, because then the animal medium can help translate those messages and hopefully move some of the energies, move some of that blocked energy, so that the person can start feeling the animal. Because most people, there's very few sessions that I do with animals and their people where their animal does not want to connect with them ever again. Very few, very few.
But that does happen, right?
It does happen. It does. It actually happened with my first dog. My first dog, Maya, when she died, we had a couple of contacts, and then it was done. And I said to her, "Are we done in this, connecting?" And she said, "Yes, we did the work we need to do together, and we don't need to do anything else."
So that's like a forever goodbye?
That was a forever goodbye. And that was okay. It was hard. I'm not saying that I didn't have a rough time with that, but that was a forever goodbye, because our animals come to us in this lifetime to help us be better people. That is their primary goal, no matter what type of animal it is. They're going to make us better people. If they finish their job with their person, they're going to, their job is done. And that, to me, is once I got over the grief, and I help people get over their grief, and they see the joy. It doesn't happen that much. I will tell you that. It doesn't happen that much.
So
but it does happen.
Could it also be, and I sense this may be the scenario with my family member, that yes, the grief is huge for that particular pet, and because they may have poured so much into this animal, maybe more so than the humans around them.
Yeah, that's normal.
Because that's where it feels safest, that's where it feels best, that's who they feel understands them the most.
Exactly.
And then when that person dies, it's like, oh my God. And so could it be also that this pet is triggering other unresolved grief that they don't want to look at, but they think is just about the dog?
Sure, definitely.
Okay. I mean, and I don't know if that's the case in this case, but I think it bears for anybody who's going through this, because to me, when something big happens, the loss of anything, anyone, and it jostles us, it's a wake-up call of some sort.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I guess it's the exploration after that.
Right. Well, the thing is, Patty, we as people are developing deeper and deeper bonds with our animals.
I've noticed that over the decades.
Yes. And who loves us more than an animal? Even cats and snakes, right? 100% unconditional love.
Oh, yeah.
What human can you name?
No.
No, you know what I'm going to say. See, you're psychic, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I definitely knew what you were going to say, because, well, and being so connected with animals, it's really rare. And I don't think anybody can really name somebody in their lives who they haven't felt in some tiny way may have let them down or betrayed them.
Right.
But with an animal, and see, the difference though is that I have no expectations of my animal. If my animals wanted me to be the doorman every day like they are, and then they open the door, and then with cats especially, they stand there and decide, well, do I want to or do I not want to go out?
Right.
I would stand there for eons, because it is so unconditional. If my husband said, hey, can you open the door? That thing would be slamming on his butt in 2 seconds. So, because I don't have I have the tolerance for this, or even when my cats are like the one, I just got a new meditation chair, and my one cat is just hell-bent on scratching that thing. And I mean, I will shoo her away, and I've got it covered up. It looks like this crazy thing in the corner. But if a human was messing with that,
look out. So
it's just so
for your family member to still have grief after 4 months, that's nothing.
That's what I have sensed that, and know that I mean, we know for humans, it's could be whatever, and certainly in many cases longer than a year, and it depends on who the person is.
Right.
But when an unconditional scenario is ripped away from us, I can't imagine. But my sense is that some point, and that's where the hard part is, it's going through that journey, which is no fun, but it's also not running away.
Right.
But I sense that on the other side of that, like our hero's journey, the place where we come out of that, that there will be understandings, and there will be, but it's hard to explain what they might be on the other side to get there.
Definitely. I think Misty wants to say something.
Yes, I do. I think I hear her too.
I'm just here agreeing and sitting a bit quiet in the background today. But
I do want to say, Misty, I wanted to share with you that, just so you know, since we're all about frequency and energy anyway, when you speak, the picture is pulsing so nicely. So don't think you're not here. Don't think you're not here. You are. Funny. Look at you go. Look at you go. Your aura.
I know, right?
And I'm letting out some good laughs on this show, and really that's what we're about. It is such a hard time to grieve and lose anything we love, but if we can bring the perspective that it's all part of the human experience, and learn to dive into it, not run away from it, and to just to explore it. And I love, Patty, that we connect, and we connect with all these people in the field that are here to support others and to support others' pets. Like it's really wonderful. So if you're experiencing any kind of trouble with loss, there is such great help out there. And Wendy is just a great example of how this field is emerging. And Wendy, I want to thank you so much, because when we were talking and she was telling me about her books and how they're like bestsellers on Amazon, and then she offered to share them for 99 cents. So today, tomorrow, and Friday, you can get Wendy's books for 99 cents on Amazon. So Google or search Wendy Van de Paul on Amazon, and I'm sure they'll come up for you. So I just wanted to get that in so everyone knows that's an option. And thank you so much, Wendy. That was really thoughtful.
Yeah, I thought of it last minute, and I said, I would love to do that. So yeah, I hope people go, if they are the Kindle versions, and there's 4 books, and you'll see them. And I think you have the link anyway too, don't you, on the YouTube video, Misty?
Yeah, the link is in the event page, and I copied it over. So that link will always be there and accessible on our YouTube page. And before, we're coming up to the top of the hour, but Wendy, do you offer any courses or services or Facebook support groups or anything that our listeners might want to access to connect with you?
Yes, I do. If you go to my website, centerforpetlossgrief.com, you'll see my services. I have pet grief services, I have pet funeral celebrant, and I have intuitive services. I also, my books, obviously, and events that I do, and I am redoing my courses. So hopefully within the month, I'm going to have my Rescue Joy from Pet Loss Grief back up. And I also teach animal communication too. And I have a Facebook group, Pet Memorials Center for Pet Loss Grief. But you can find that on my website as well. And wonderful. So come on over and join me. We have a good group, a nice small group of folks that are very supportive.
That's wonderful. There's something about pet people, and maybe you can answer this, speaking about pet people. So I also have people in my family that don't want anything to do with animals. And we always say, I don't know if I trust them. And there is something to that. Saying,
I agree.
What do you think is going on there? Because I got to believe there's an animal somewhere that wants to get into their life and into their world and show them. Because those people, and I remember one was my uncle growing up, and you could, when the cats, and of course inevitably the cats or the dogs would just like go running for him, and he'd be like, And,
Yeah.
and I would be sitting back there secretly like, ooh, stop, kitty,
Yeah.
stop, dog. But I wanted to watch the dismay personally, because I'm mean like that. But I do find that fascinating. And a lot of those folks seem so tight and constricted, and I just want to
I know.
and you know, there's been some great stories, some great books written about people that never liked animals, and then one animal did come into their life, and then they became this squishy mass.
Right.
So what do you think it is about people that are not interested?
I love, I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't get it either. And I'm trying to understand, what is it? I mean, I can only imagine, like, I have a lot of compassion for somebody that does not like animals.
Right.
Because I feel bad for them. I feel sad for them.
Missing. Yeah.
Because they're missing such an enriching relationship.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, and so that's my first thing. And then I try to, like, I can only imagine that maybe something happened. I mean, I know some people, they've gotten bitten by dogs or kicked by a horse.
Right.
But for people that can't explain it, that just absolutely despise an animal.
Maybe a past life thing, who knows?
Could be a past life thing, yeah.
Or something that they're not even
definitely
aware of.
Oh, something in their DNA.
And I can see, being certainly concerned about wildlife, because that could be unpredictable.
Sure.
I can even see certain kinds of dogs, maybe big dogs, or dogs that are like, considered more dangerous, not more dangerous, not that I think so, but pit bulls or Rottweilers. I can understand cats too, because there is an unpredictable nature, which is the one thing that I absolutely love about them. But a cute little dog, unless it's a hair thing or a fur thing, I can't wrap my head around that.
I know.
And that's okay. Maybe somebody who is going to be watching this or watching it later can put in there and share with us, what it is, because that would be really, really helpful if somebody has it. And I know it sounds like I'm being, what am I being? Terrible about that. I don't want to be. I just don't personally understand it. And I myself, not like an animal, like Wendy, if you were right here, I would be jumping into your lap right now and hugging onto you, because you love animals so much. I might even lick your face a little, but I don't know.
But here, too, Patty, if, say, like, I'll just use an if, or a example. If that person came, for some reason, decided to come to me because they wanted to find out why they're afraid of animals, and they wanted me to communicate with just general animal energy.
Oh, okay.
I could probably guarantee you, like you said, with the past life, and I could probably say with 99.9% surety, there's some type of lesson this person needs to learn without an animal in their life, so that an animal can come into their life, or vice versa.
I see.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, and that right now, while they're experiencing lack of animal, there's something. There's a reason that maybe that animal shouldn't be there, and they need to learn the lesson without, until such time as they get that lesson, and maybe we won't get to see it, or they won't get to see it in this lifetime.
Right. I mean, like, who knows what that person might have gone through in a past life, or what they did in a past life. So, and I know that totally presupposes, if you go with the whole past life theory, it could explain a whole lot when we can't explain it. You never know. Exactly.
Well, how far is that though from God, universe? Like, everybody has a feeling of it, or they don't have the feeling of it. It's something we can't see, but we feel deeply. I just find that, kind of the correlation. People might roll their eyes at past lives, but it's also the same thing that we can't see when we talk about God, universe, spirit.
Exactly.
whatever.
I mean, you just go, I mean, for me, I'm such a nature girl. When I go outside and I just stand there and I can feel and see the vibration of nature. And to me, that just brings me home. That's my universe.
Oh, wonderful. You know, I
Yeah.
don't,
Wendy,
go ahead.
just talking about that vibration, I'm just going to jump in.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a little bird. So behind my house is an access road to the water, to the beach. It's been terribly stormy here. Raining, snowing, slushing, but windy, like 50 to 70-kilometer winds for the last few days.
Wow.
So I'm out walking my dog, and out of the corner of my eye, I catch a little snowbird. We call them snowbirds because they're the first birds to show up in the springtime. Usually we don't notice them too much in the fall when winter's coming, but I noticed this one, and it wasn't with its flock. So I just had a sense to stop and have a little chat with it and notice
cool.
it. And for the first time ever, I noticed perhaps an aura around this bird, or what it really looked like was like heat waves coming off it. And it was a cold day, but a small aura might be a better way to describe it. So anyhow, I just thought I'd share that.
Oh, that's beautiful, Misty. I'm picturing that totally. It's beautiful.
And
I
that
knew I was talking.
Oh, yeah.
that's something. And that a bird can even exist in the Arctic where you live is an amazing thing to me. So just seeing it is a big deal. And speaking of birds and fowl, in fact, before we go, I just had a quick question. It just popped in on me since.
Sure.
So 2 springs ago, it ended up that my husband rescued a little duck that was nesting in our property, and the mama had gone, and we kind of thought it was dead, and we brought it back to life, and we named her Gracie. And we had she has her own Facebook page, Gracie the Daily Duck is what it's called, and she ended up getting her own fans, and she's got all these people that follow her. She was with us for 11 weeks, and what was fascinating is it was kind of one of the hardest 11 weeks because if you know ducks, they like poop every 5 minutes. So we had rugs rolled up, and but she kind of ruled the roost because she thought we were mom and dad. We taught her to fly, and we were looking for a forever home for her. I mean, she totally changed our yard. We had hawk netting because she got attacked by hawk. So on and on it went, and the night before we were getting ready, and we were so connected to this duck, and my cats, had they not been brought up, they were pretty connected, though probably if we left her alone too long, she would have been dinner. But I do cringe when I get like duck in gravy now for the cats. I'm like,
Oh.
but this duck sort of changed our lives. And the night before we were going to take her for her forever home, she flew away, and I stayed out on the chaise lounge all night calling her, trying to see if she would come back, but it was time, I guess, for her to go right the night before. Fast forward 2 years later, my husband's up at the same property where we were going to take her, and there was another duck that he ended up having to rescue. We took it to the wild bird rehabber. And we felt like this duck at the same place we were going to take her was not treated well. So I just wonder if, now maybe this is me just putting 2 things that don't go together, whether Gracie thought, it's time for me to go, and that's not where I'm going to go, or whether you get anything at all from Gracie our duck.
Yeah, your intuition on that is right on.
Well, there you go.
There you go. I mean, I'm not totally connected in with energy right now, but just on the surface, before you even said that, I was she didn't want to go to that home. She was going to do her thing, and that was important.
Well, she did do her thing, and she came back to roost, although her eggs got found by raccoons or something, and hopefully she'll be back next year. But it was quite an adventure, and we got so connected. Who knew, to this crazy duck? So if you want to check her out, Gracie
will.
the Daily Duck on Facebook.
I will.
And you start at the bottom. I mean, she ate Skip's earring, and we have X-rays of her, of the earring in her gullet. It was crazy times, but she was part of the family. So
awesome. I love it. I love those stories. It's great.
anyway, what a pleasure. What an absolute
you.
pleasure to have you. And we went a little bit over, but we got started a little bit late.
We did.
It looks like I froze up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back. It's such a pleasure to meet people who are so connected, not only to humans, but to animals, which to me are my world. Like, it would be okay. I love you humans out there, but really, if you had to go away and all I had was animals and Whole Foods, I would be fine. Trader Joe's. So thanks again, Wendy. Misty, do you have anything to share before we head off? I want to make sure we get Wendy's website and all of her goodies out there. Misty?
Good. Thanks so much, ladies. All of Wendy's information is on the website. I think it's Wendy. What is your website again? Just one more time before we go.
It's www.centerforpetlossgrief.com. Oh, and there's a free gift for you on that too. So go and get my free gift.
All right, free gift.
Yeah.
You can't resist free.
You can't resist free.
All right, Wendy, let's keep connected, and thanks so much.
Yep.
You have a wonderful day, and we'll let everybody know all about your stuff and what you do and how you can help them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends. We're back in 2 weeks.
Yes, we are. We're back in 2 weeks, and we are going to be talking more about grief in this series, and we've got a lot of really interesting people. And one of the things to just keep you really connected to this series is that even though it feels that you are alone, there are many, many people that have gone through a lot of this and come out the other side, and that's who we're going to be introducing you to, so that you can understand their journey and see if there's anything in there for you for assistance, and just knowing that you're not alone. So Patty and Misty signing off for the Death Chicks, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.